Well, hello, folks, and welcome. Welcome back to Just Folks Conversations with Emma. I'm Emma with another spectacular guest, a young lady who has an interesting history. She is a leader, a teacher, a student, a guide. She is a kindred spirit for those who are seeking a better way to express their God centeredness. And so, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Constance Mann Leonard. Hi, Constance.
Hi, Emma. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. I'm doing just fine. I want to thank you for taking time from your very, very, very busy schedule to join me today and have a conversation. Um, we met through One God, One Thought Center for Better Living. It's our church that we both attend in Baltimore, Maryland, where Reverend Burnett Lee Jones is the pastor, the senior minister. And my involvement with you actually came directly with a class that you were teaching, several classes that you were teaching, in my exploration of what it means to have a spiritual journey. So, um, you are certainly an excellent teacher, and I'm wondering if you'd like to just share with the listening and viewing audience a little bit about your past. What kind of child were you? How'd you get started on this path?
What kind of child was I? I think I was an inquisitive child. Um, I was a clown. You know, when they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I remember saying, I want to be a clown because I wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to make people feel good about themselves. And as I grew, I realized I was a little insecure. Um, But overall, I believe, a happy child, even though I grew up in a foster home. Um, but the first one, and I tell you the truth, um, have you ever seen that? I can't even remember the name of the movie, but my first foster mother was not very nice.
Hmm.
My second one, I was there from 8 to 16. So I believe that's where, I developed. And I had a great childhood from 8 to 16.
I see.
I went to, go ahead,
I'm just saying, what part of the country were you in?
upstate New York. I grew up in Belleville, Warwick, New York, so upper state New York. I'm originally from Newburgh, Middletown, New York, on the Hudson River state.
What's that environment like? It's is it small city, small town, country like? What is?
Newburgh is, I can't even describe it. When I was there, I mean, it was new to me, um, because when I left my foster mother, I went to live in Newburgh with my mother, and it's just a small town on the Hudson River. It reminds me kind of like, I don't, I Baltimore, as far as the surroundings, or I can't really describe it. Over the years, I'm not sure what it's like now because I haven't been back in quite some time. But I was there from 17 to 19. So I can't even describe it. I don't know.
Basically, small town.
Small
Not
town.
okay. All right.
Hmm.
You weren't surrounded by cows or fields of corn or anything like that.
Not in Newburgh, but where I was in Belleville, yes. I lived in a little hamlet kind of place. And I actually grew up where we were the only black family for miles. And when a black family moved in, it was like a big celebration. I remember we had to go visit the new
Oh,
neighbors, but riding my bikes past farms and, rural country, kind
okay.
of like, yeah.
Was that between 8 and 16?
That was 8, 16. Yeah,
Hmm. Okay,
those were
that's
my
nice.
years.
And that
I
was a good time for you.
believe it was a good time for me. I didn't know any different. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I knew
Yeah.
the difference between where I was from 5 to 7 or 8.
Hmm.
Those 3 years with my first foster mother was horrible. So going to the second one, I mean, that's where, I learned to really, um, I think, become me to a point. I'm not sure how to say that. I had everything I needed, everything I wanted. Um, there was no want or lack. Um, I was in a school where maybe there was a handful of blacks, which I didn't know any different. I thought that was the norm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until I went to visit my families and was like, kind of like culture shock. They were culture shocked with me, and I was with
Mm.
them because it's like, huh? So, different background, I guess. Meeting my family was a little different, like getting to know who they were and them getting to know who I was. And just when I talk with Vale, the difference in growing up in the 70s, as a child, the political issues that were coming up, I wasn't really in tune with them, you know.
In what
Um,
way? What do you mean by that? Be a little more specific.
when they in the 70s, that's when the Black Power was coming about. I wasn't really in tune with them, even though I think I might have had certain incidences, but I'd never really connected the two. I remember one time, when the Panthers and stuff was coming out, and I wanted to put my hair in an afro, but I couldn't leave the house like that. So I would get on a bus, and then when I got on the bus, take my hair out to go to school. And then when I came back home, put my hair back in braids or whatever. Because
That's
my
interesting.
mother, my foster mother,
Mhm.
go ahead, Mrs. Haynes, she was saying that they had come from um, getting to be called colored, and now they want to be called black, so she kind of had to work with that herself, I believe. And we weren't having that in my house, from her
Because, yeah,
understanding,
black was
so
a pejorative term. It was
yes,
used as a very derogatory term. So yeah, I
yes.
experienced that with my father in particular, because I came home
Hmm.
from college with an afro and calling myself black, and he was just in culture shock. He didn't know what
Yes,
to do with that. Um,
yes,
so yeah, definitely can
yeah.
relate. Can relate. So
So,
when you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go. Mhm.
Okay. So when you met your family, your biological family, um, and everyone was still figuring out who everybody was. Were you the one child who had been away from the family, or had there been other siblings and relatives who were also coming back together at that time?
Well, actually, my mom had 7 kids, and the only one that she actually raised was our baby sister Joyce. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say names. Anyway, but
You
she
can say that.
raised Joyce. And I remember meeting my baby sister Joyce, and because I think I was jealous that my mom was, allowed to raise her. So I wasn't very kind to that little girl. Here I am, 16, meeting my baby sister, like for the first time when I went to visit, my family. And meeting my mom again and my baby sister, and not understanding, the dynamics of how we were all put in foster homes. Years later, I come to find out the story. There's always a story, but not knowing, of course, I blamed my mother. But over time and over a period of time, um, things happen. And I mean, I've forgiven her. I understand she did the best that she could. There were other dynamics going on at the time. And just meeting for the first time, getting in touch again with my brother. He was just coming out of Vietnam War. So, making a connection with him because I hadn't seen him in I don't know how many years. So just coming back to knowing that I had family. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, yeah.
So that was a good thing. And you said something really important, and you said your mother was doing the best that she could. That takes um, a lot of wisdom coming from the child of someone who's not been able to be with their parent, um, because we have like a biological need to be with the people that we consider to be ours, our mother, our father, our siblings. And when that doesn't happen, the impact can go on for decades. Some people don't recover from that. Many do, but many don't. You are absolutely to be applauded for being able to recognize that your mom was doing the best she could. And as a child, you cannot have access to that point of view. It's impossible. But as an adult, being able to look back over the experiences that you become aware of that your mom had to endure, and to have compassion for her
Yeah.
allows you to have compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
Mm.
My mom made her transition in 88.
Mm.
My dad made his transition in the 70s. So it's kind of like I've been without parents for so long, and I sometimes forget that people have parents,
Yeah.
and when I hear other people talk about, oh yeah, my mom and my dad, and, in the back of my head, it's like, okay, yeah, people have parents. So somehow I've adjusted in my spirit and in my world that it's okay, that I don't have a mom and dad on this physical side of the realm. But, as I've grown through the years, I've had other moms, kind of. So, and I've gotten to the point in my journey to know that I believe why I'm here is to learn how to have relationships. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
And um, to be honest, I don't really have, everybody has like a good girlfriend or friends and I have never cultivated that, I don't think. Well, I don't think, I know I haven't. Because in order to have a friend, you have to be a friend. So in some way, I'm still guarded in my life, but having a relationship with one individual is teaching me to be open, to be honest, to know more about who I am. So I'm here to experience a relationship. But I've learned, everybody that you're in touch with or you meet, it's a relationship.
Right.
And each one is different. And I get to experience everybody different. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We're all different.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I have participated in two classes that you've taught. And what I found so remarkable now, as I look back, particularly as you say that you were guarded, is that you were the most unguarded, open, friendly, inviting, uh, patient. And I'm going to emphasize the patient piece because I'm a slow learner. I'll be honest up front about that. When I get it, I got it, but it takes me a minute to get there. And you were so accommodating and so kindly encouraging of all the different ability levels and learning styles of grown folks, who were in your presence. Teaching adults is not the same necessarily as teaching children. I come from an education background. So I just have to commend you, and I'm really more in awe than ever knowing what I just found out. Because I would not have put those two concepts together under one person, particularly with you, because of your ability to invite all of us into a classroom setting, especially for the first class. For those of us who had, and let me see what the class was. It was Basic Truth One, which explains the principles of New Thought Christianity, and that was my part of the journey to figure out, well, what is this New Thought stuff, and what does it mean? And many foreign, unusual, peculiar concepts, as far as I was concerned at that time, were being introduced to me, and you were able to create an environment where I could raise questions, and you were like, "Yeah, let's explore that." So thank you. Your experience really impacts a lot of people. So thank you for sharing that just now, and also for being the person that you've been through your own journey.
Well, thank you, Emma, for that. I believe when it becomes to teaching, I've always had that in my spirit. I remember as a child when we were playing, I always wanted to be the teacher and I always wanted to mark the homework. So it's like when you look back over your life, um, as a child, what did you find that came natural? You know what I mean? So, teaching to me is just, I believe, sharing a piece of myself and being honest, but also I'm curious about other people. Um, so curiosity, you know, um, I like to hear what other people think and what they're feeling and stuff. So that give and take, like we're having this conversation, you know, how do you feel about it or what are your views about it? And I've learned as I've grown through my experiences that everybody has something of value to offer, so being open to hear, what other people are growing through or are experiencing, also gives me an opportunity to grow and see things from a different perspective, a different lens.
Well,
So,
clearly, you've been able to do that very effectively. So, what was your journey like in terms of schooling and jobs in your early adulthood? What was that like?
let me tell you, because my first home environment was so controlled and guarded, or not guarded, but so controlled. You know what I mean? I lived in a bubble. I did. I lived in a bubble. And when I finally moved back to Newburgh, it was, how it is when you live in a bubble and then you become exposed to so many things and you
Mhm.
just lose control, you lose yourself. I was lost, along the way. My first employment, I was around 17. I worked for the Social Security office. And, they had them ticker tape machines where the little things would come out in Social Security.
Yes.
And I remember it was around June something. So I remember that Friday we were leaving for the weekend. So I was like, okay, I'll see everybody in September. And they're like, huh? You're not coming back Monday? And I'm like, we had to come back Monday because school was getting out. You know what
Uh-huh.
I mean? I didn't
Yes.
know you had to work. Oh, Lord, I thought you worked until June and then you got out. So my first job experience was like, okay, no. So I quit the job because it's like I'm going to enjoy my summer. So I quit that job so I can enjoy summer. And my
Mhm.
second one was working for Planned Parenthood, as a secretary. But those were my first two employment opportunities.
Mm.
So I was so young and naive. It's ridiculous.
So you left
Yes.
them in June so you could have your summer.
I could have my summer because I thought that's
Mhm.
what you did.
Well, that's what you did. So
That's what
therefore,
I did.
oh, that's fascinating. Oh my goodness. Well, you are very well spoken. highly educated. What was your educational journey like?
All right, here we go. My educational journey. Again, you know, I dropped out of high school. And let me tell you the reason why. Because I thought I was spiting my mother. And I had 6 months to go, and I dropped out, 12th grade, because my mother was making me get up and go to school, and then I had those period of resentment, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I decided I wasn't going to school anymore, and I think I did it because I was thinking I was hurting her. But of course, through the years, what you do, you think to someone else, of course, you end up doing to yourself. So I dropped out in 12th grade.
Okay,
So
well, but you are a
that
lifelong learner, for
I'm a
certain.
lifelong, yeah,
Yes. Well, you should be teaching college courses because you are so well read and express yourself so clearly. And that's one of the things that I really appreciated about being in class with you was how you were able to break down concepts and make them accessible. Um, and that is, I guess that's part of your natural gift. But thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do know that as a former educator myself, often our brightest students were the ones who left us first. They voted with their feet because they could not see the actual value in what was being presented to them in a school setting. And I must say, I run into some of my former students from time to time, and they seem to have done quite well. They made other compensatory um, actions. They managed to, I guess, do pretty much what you've done. They still educated themselves. They may not have had the little piece of paper that goes along with it, but the knowledge is there. It's there. So, one of the things that you are very involved in is an organization called the Light of Truth. Would you like to share a little bit about the organization and your role in it?
Okay, the organization is the Light of Truth Center, which is a nonprofit organization for women providing safe housing, recovery services, and an opportunity. And I tell the young ladies it's an opportunity for them to reset their lives. Not everyone has an opportunity, mostly women and mothers, to sit down in the middle of their life and start all over. But I say that it's a blessing, that they find themselves in a position where they can reset, restart their lives. They get to recreate who they desire to be. So with the organization, we're going on 25 years. It is the organization of Vale Leonard. I was there from the beginning. Of course, it was an idea. We use the spiritual practices that we learned through One God, One Thought Center. We visioned a mastermind for a whole year before it came into fruition. And then it just took a life of its own.
Let me
I
just
do a
stop you.
lot of things in the
Just want to
background.
just jump in for a second. Everyone may not know what it means to mastermind. Can you explain that process?
Okay, so a mastermind prayer. And the amazing thing is, it came from a unity minister, and he put together this mastermind prayer. And it's an opportunity where you actually are repeating certain verses, and in the middle of the page, you write down what it is that you want to have in your life. And this is something that you speak it and you visualize and you prepare. I'm going to say, because if you're asking, be prepared for what it is that you're asking for. And it's a wonderful way to bring into your life those things that you desire. So it's called the Mastermind Prayer. You can find it online. I have it in a file. We're actually getting ready to do one again for ourselves. And the Mastermind Prayer we did at One God, One Thought. That's how we manifested. the building where we are now through Reverend Ann Jefferson. We mastermind every Sunday. It was part of our culture. So it's a prayer that you are repeating certain stanzas, certain verses, but you're asking for what you want, but you're acknowledging that God is our source. All things come from God. So,
Okay. And as a result, the Light of Truth Center is not simply a single building. Tell us more about what happens.
okay, so as a result, like I said, we mastermind for a year. Then Vale's uncle made his transition, but gave her the house. So that was the first building. So through the years, and all of the buildings are her family homes, all except the one located on the east side, which an organization, listen to this, an organization, Vale is a good, a fellow, a Weinberg Fellow. So through her journey through the Weinberg Fellowship, a gentleman there had two buildings, and they offered them, gave them to the Light of Truth Center with a 30-year deferred mortgage, which means that
Wow.
as long as the Light of Truth Center stays in the building for 30 years, afterwards they're mortgage free. So I tell you, God is in the midst.
No
So
question.
no question about that, Emma. No question. So like I said, we have four housing units and then one office building. Light of Truth Center has also become a test center for individuals who are seeking exams. They are an ISO quality testing site. So if you need to get an exam, any kind of exam, you can go to the office building. I'll go online through ISO quality and have your exam at, the office site. We
Okay.
did that because of the recovery services and trainings that we were offering, and realized that the community had to travel to Towson, Columbia, or some other county in order to take an exam.
What
So,
kinds of exams, for example?
any kind of certification exam that's out there, nursing, recovery coaching, excuse me, um, all the licenses that you want um, to become certified in. So we are that testing site.
And how do you spell that? ISIL?
So is I as in Inca,
Hmm.
S as in Sam, O as in onion. So ISO quality testing.
I'm going to put that in the description for our followers to have access to, as well as some other pertinent information so that they may be able to follow up and contact you. Let's say someone you know has a friend or a relative who's experiencing some difficulties with their home life. You said a reset. What kind of person would qualify to come to your program, would be able to access the services at Light of Truth?
Okay, so Light of Truth Center is for women who are recovering from substance use disorder or alcohol, and they are coming from treatment centers. So they can come in after like 30 days where they have been in a treatment center, 28 to 30 days, and then they go to the first level housing, and as they continue to grow and get a foundation, they just transition from one housing to the last one, which would be Patterson, where they are now becoming self-sufficient and are employed or going to school, but they are able to pay a program fee on their own, and they are transitioning back into the community. So the statement for the Light of Truth Center is recovery, transition, and restoration through transformation. Excuse me. So it would be women who are recovering from substance use, who are seeking to reset or, recreate their lives. They have an opportunity to do that at the Light of Truth Center. And we step them through that whole process. But we recognize and realize, and it said, you're in recovery when you say you are. So
Yeah.
that's the bottom line. You're in
Okay.
recovery when you say you are.
And that is a very powerful statement. And that's very enabling um,
Yes,
to the participant. It's not someone else's determination. It's not another set of standards. It's what you recognize, which means you have to be really honest with yourself.
yes.
Mm.
and,
That's
and the funny thing is, when I first started, and I'm not in recovery myself because I'm not recovering from, let's say, substance use, but I am in recovery from life. You know what I mean? From the traumas that I've had experienced, from the situations that I created, as I've gotten older and I know who I am and um, the power, that I possess. I look back over and see the journey that I created to become who I am today, which is absolutely wonderful. But through that process and just learning what recovery is, and going to a 12-step program, the first time I heard those 12-step principles, I was like, oh my God, we all could use these principles in our life. And that, Emma, started our journey to one God, one thought.
mhm.
So the journey to principles started in a recovery program, So, like I said, it's based on spiritual principles,
Mhm.
in the 12-step programs.
Okay. What is your actual direct role? What are you responsible for at Light of Truth?
What a, I get asked that question, and sometimes it's like, huh? Because I think I do so much, I don't think I do enough. Well, I don't think I do. Yeah, the website, I do the website. Um, Groups. I make sure every Friday the ladies have a group, so I have to make sure that I have presenters. So I'm a group coordinator, a facilitator. When someone can't make it, then I stand in for the group. I do marketing. I do social media, so the Facebook and LinkedIn and what else is there? It used to be what they used to call it.
Instagram, and
Instagram. So I do all the marketing, I do all the employment, I do all the volunteering process when people want to come and volunteer. So I'm the volunteer coordinator, getting make sure the folders and they do the online orientation, whatever is needed at the Life Truth Center in the background. That's what I do. So,
so you're really the power behind the throne.
okay.
Yeah.
I do a lot.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to have a conference,
Okay.
Recovering Hearts.
Hmm.
And Recovering Hearts, this will be our 23rd year that we have done this conference, and it's going to be held at One God, One Thought Center. And it is to bring women who are in treatment to spend a day with women who have long-term sobriety or recovery under their belt, and we will celebrate women who have 40 plus years down to maybe one day or an hour. So they
Mhm.
will have an opportunity to actually be with women to see the possibility of recovery is possible. So they will have come together, have lunch, go to workshops, do prizes, and then hear two main speakers. We have one coming from New York City, and we have another one coming from Chicago. So, but we have been doing this for the past 23 years is as a give back to the community. Tickets are only $10, but what they get for that $10 is priceless,
I
so
completely agree with that. And
yeah.
I want to say that I was privileged to attend one of your conferences. It was prior to the pandemic, and it was absolutely one of the most moving experiences in my life, particularly when I'm calling it a countdown, which is not the right term, but there's a celebration of each level of empowerment where each each woman is able to stand forward in the with support, um, to be recognized for having the strength and the resources and the will, and everything that comes with that, to be sober for whatever period of time. And when I say we, because I was part of the
That's all
team that
right. You was
cheered,
there.
um, got down to the person who had been sober for, I think it was a few hours, I think like 5 hours. The the love was so, I'm getting teared up thinking about it now.
Palpable. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Um, and empowering. And it's the kind
Yes.
of support that allows people to see what really is possible. And
Yes.
from those few hours up to, at that point, there was someone who was, I think, at the 30-year mark, 30 something years sober. And you're right, it gives you the ability to see real evidence of what's
Yes.
possible. Because if one person can do it, then
Mm.
why not me? Why not? Why can't I? I can do that. And it's not a in spite of, it's a because of, because when you look around what's in that room and what that represents, it's all support.
Yeah.
It is a, the commercials about the gym where it's a guilt-free zone and you go exercise, and this is truly a guilt-free experience, and there's nothing critical. Every aspect of that individual, of every individual, is welcomed and recognized and supported. It is transformational. It really is transformational. You can see that. And not just for the people who are participating. Like I said, I had the honor of being present, and it stayed with me.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So what are your future plans? What do you anticipate happening for you, either personally and professionally?
Well, I asked that. I asked myself the same question. What's going on, Constance? Because I'm learning that if you're not shifting, changing, and growing, then you're not really doing anything. You're getting too comfortable in life. I'm not being stretched. So even now, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I asked myself the other day, okay, so what are you doing next? Because you get too content in life that you don't grow. So I've asked myself that same question. What are you doing next? I do have the opportunity to um, teach our courses. Right now it's through Verity Center in Toronto, but it's also a sister church under the Universal Foundation for Better Living, you know, um, that I'm able to serve in that capacity where I'm teaching, Basic Truth 1 and 2. I'm also teaching recovery training through 3C Training Institute, which is under the umbrella of the Light of Truth Center. So I have an opportunity to do that as well.
Uh,
I'm,
are
Go
there
ahead.
links? Are there links that I can post to the description so that interested persons can contact you about these things, these courses?
Yes, I can provide them for you. One would be, One God, One Thought Center for
Mhm.
better living, for them to make sure they reach out to our church, OGOT. And the other one is UFBL, so individuals who are seeking, to learn more about what New Thought is, they can go through there. And of course, Verity Center for in Toronto. They also have websites that they can click on and get information there as well.
Okay.
I just signed up through a gentleman. It was on Facebook, but I'm doing a course in miracles. and he provides a workbook so that way I say I am forever a student. I
Mhm.
don't want to get to the point where you don't know everything. And I remember Reverend Burnett teaching us, with a little circle, and I've shared that with the students as well. In a piece of a pie, there's a little triangle of what you know. Then there's another one of what you know that you know, and then another one of what you don't know that you don't know. And that's a whole lot. So
Yeah.
I'm investigating what is it that I don't know that I don't know.
Mhm.
So I'm always open to growing myself, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm doing a course in miracles so that I can stretch in that direction. My personal life, I'm still growing. When you're in a relationship with someone, every day is a new day. You
Mhm.
cannot rest on yesterday.
Yeah.
So every day is a new day. But as long as, you're in a relationship, as long as I've been in one, you get to fall in love with the individual all over because as you continue to grow and change, the other individual does the same and you get to meet a new person. It's like, oh wow. So
Mhm.
I'm experiencing that, in my own personal life. Um,
And that also points to your creativity. Um,
oh
and
yeah.
you are a very creative person. There was a point at which you were running a business. I don't know if you're still doing it, but would you just like to chat about that for a minute?
All right, my business. Now, I've actually had two. Very early back in the early 90s, I did have a business called CLM Business Solutions. And I was actually doing secretarial work and design and stuff for individuals. I did that for 7 years. And then I went out and got a real job.
That was a real job.
Um, I played at that, I was able to serve. I did get able to bring in some money, but I needed to get a way where I was financially supporting the household. So that's where I said I went out and got a real job.
Mhm.
Um, but now on my side hustle, I call it a side hustle because I crochet, so I make clothing, cardigans, anything with crochet. I do these creative cards, 3D flower
Mhm.
cards. Now I'm doing 3D visual cards with different medium hair and uh, rhinestones and stuff. So those are my 3D. I forget what I call 'em.
Are
But
those
my 3D cards,
your inspirational cards?
yes.
I,
And all the verses inside are mine, spirit
oh,
led. Yeah.
okay. So you're writing, you're creating, and I must say your crocheting is exquisite. I have grandbabies, they're twins, and when they first arrived on the planet, they were comforted by very gorgeous little blankets and outfits that you had made for them. Those sweaters, which of course we cherish and still have, they were beautiful. And I must say,
Thank you.
everything has an energy to it, and the energy that you put into your creations is also, use your word, very palpable. And so, you know, you we got to make sure we have a link so folks can get some of that energy, wrap themselves up in it. Whether it's a greeting card, because you've done beautiful greeting cards, um, the inspirational ones I have not seen, but your 3D greeting cards are just, they're magnificent.
Thank
Um,
you.
I love them. So,
Thank you.
and is there a link for that? You have a website?
I do have a website. It is GRG, and it's
Mhm.
G as in George, I as in Inca, R as in Robert, G as in George, I as in Inca, unlimited.com. And
Unlimited.
people say GERD. I can't even say what people say, but I know
Uh,
it's GRG. And it stands for God's Ideas Are Good Ideas. So I just made up an acronym. And that's
okay.
how I pronounce it.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the name of my business.
Mhm.
GRG Unlimited, God's Ideas are Good Ideas.com.
Excellent. And they are
And
good ideas.
yeah. And then when you go on my site, I have different areas for people to get to really know who I am. I have like a just my thoughts, it's like step into my world kind of thing.
Okay.
So you get to see my thoughts and what I believe and stuff like that. Besides the crochet and the greeting card. So it's a eclectic site. A
Mm.
little piece of everything.
Okay. We
So,
can go in and get some wisdom and some creativity and some inspiration, a little transformation going here. Sounds wonderful.
thank you.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share in our conversation?
No,
Anything?
I just want to thank you for this opportunity to just learn a little bit about who I am. You always ask, who are you? And, remember that exercise you did in class?
Mm-hmm.
Sit still and ask spirit, who are you? And you hear,
Mm-hmm.
I am, and whenever I ask that, it's automatic for me to know that I am, God in expression, and just want to thank you for the opportunity to really say that and know that that's the truth for me. No matter who I'm talking to, I'm striving to be my authentic self, um, and being able to have this conversation, knowing what I've gone through, but who I am today. And I just love me. I love who I am. Um, and I appreciate all those who love me as well, you know?
Well, you had said in the beginning to have a friend, you need to be a friend,
Yes.
and and you are that. You are love expressed as friendship in relationships with everyone that you encounter, and that is the thing that that is your gift. And because you're so conscious of who you are being expressed through spirit, you allow us to share that joy and part of your journey. And you never know who's watching, and you never know who's going to learn a little bit of something that they didn't know before. You don't know what you don't know that you don't know. And we're finding out. So thank you so very much. You're a very busy lady. I really appreciate your time. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Well, thank you.
And I
Thank you for
am,
having me.
oh, absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day,
Thank
and
you.
I'll see you soon.
All right. And you know what I say, create a great day.
All righty now.
All right.
Bye bye.